Hey, 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 it is Tuesday, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I don't know, what day is it? Guys, all the days are the same. We're all just still living through this crazy global pandemic, and I don't know, I'm on repeat. Could be Saturday. Maybe it's the weekend. I don't know. Because I'm always drawing. So I could be drawing today and a weekend, and I realize it's the week. I don't know, but you're all here hanging out with me. We're together, and what really matters today is we're going to crack the code of the old MegaPack. Why do I say the old MegaPack? Guys, all you see out there in the universe these days is brush MegaPacks. Come on, folks, where do you think that started? Where do you think that brush MegaPack thing started? Right here with the original, the Photoshop brush MegaPack, and we are going to take a nice deep dive checking this thing out today. You want to see where it all started, all this crazy brush MegaPack action? This is the one, folks. And when I say MegaPack, boy do I mean mega, because it is massive. Okay, it's too big. It's too unwieldy. People crack it open and they go, what do I do with this thing? 400 brushes? It's too much. Then they go cry in a corner. But I'm here to pull them gently away from that corner, sit them back down, grab them by the shoulders, prop them up, make them feel comfortable and say, folks, it's going to be okay. We're going to get through this. We're going to look, not brush by brush, but category by category. And we're going to figure out what it is you need for your illustration work that can be found in this treasure trove of brushes. So what do you think about that? Let's say hi to some folks who are joining us here at Behance. Andreas. You know what I love about Andreas' name? Last name is Holler. So every time I see Andreas, I think, Holler, Andreas. Bruce, Gareth, Cody. What's up, Cody? Tim. Maimuna, nice to see you, and hi to you as well. It's a long hi I see there. Clever. You're not crying in the corner. You're just using the hard round brush. Ha 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 ha. I love that. I'm not crying in the corner, just using the hard round brush. You are. Ha ha. Very good. Steve's here. What's up, Steve? Nice to see you. Thanks for joining us. And Bruce and Sean. Oh my gosh. All these lovely folks. If you're watching over on YouTube, remember that I'm following the chat on Behance. Behance.net/live. Okay? That's where things are cooking. You can watch on YouTube. I got no issue with that. But if you want to talk to me, please do head over to Behance if you have questions, because I know people have questions about brushes, and that's what this show is all about here at Brush Hour. If you're watching on Twitter, same deal, gang. I'm watching the chat over on Behance. Alrighty, let's move on over to Photoshop. Now, quick note, remember, all of these lovely brushes that we're going to look at today in the MegaPack work in Adobe Fresco as well, and just as beautifully. Okay? Importante. Good to know this. Here we go. MegaPack. There she is. My goodness sakes. All right. Now, in the MegaPack, you have, count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 categories. So right there, you've got a lot to work with. But we're going to move through this. They are organized in a logical way, okay? Predominantly by the type of media that you're working with, okay? And for those OGs out there who remember how this whole thing started, I had a drawing box and I had 2 paint boxes. Way back in 2013, 2014 is when the MegaPack first came on the scene, because I took those 3 brush sets and I combined them. And at the time, they had about 90 brushes. Well, folks, I decided that anybody who bought those brushes at the time, I would just keep adding to them every single quarter. And eventually, this thing got so massive that it has over 400 brushes in it. All right? And so that's what you got to deal with, and that's what we have today. Now, if you are a Photoshop or Fresco or any Creative Cloud subscriber, you have access to this full library of brushes. And the MegaPack, by the way, here's the most popular misconception about this brush set. People see the word MegaPack and they think, well, gosh, that must be everything. No, the MegaPack, believe it or not, is its own standalone brush set with about 400 brushes, and those brushes are all unique to the MegaPack. The MegaPack is not, I repeat, it is not a collection of all the Photoshop brushes that are in your Adobe Photoshop brush library with your Creative Cloud subscription. No siree, Bob, it is just one tiny component. In fact, there are close to 2,000 brushes available to you in that library. So the MegaPack is its own thing. Do not be fooled. All right. How do you get these brushes? Common question I hear all the time. Well, tap over here. Tiny little drop-down menu in the top right corner of your brushes panel, and you will see a menu option that says Get More Brushes. You tap on Get More Brushes. It'll take you to your Adobe sign-in page. Just use your Creative Cloud ID and password, and then behind the curtain, you will be shown into this glorious room with crystal chandeliers and all kinds of priceless works of art hanging on the wall. And then these ornate gold boxes will be laid out on a table before you. And in each box, you will have a different brush set that you can download. The MegaPack, the watercolors, the manga brush set, the impressionist brushes, the spatter brushes, you name it, okay? You take those and you install them simply by double-clicking on the download. Once it has made its way to your machine, it will automatically open in Photoshop, and you will find it here in your brushes menu, okay? Fully installed and ready to go. Got it? Hope that makes sense. If you're in Fresco, you will scroll down to the bottom of your brushes menu, and you will see a little plus sign. Tap on that plus sign, and you're going to see two options. You can import brushes, or you can get the brushes from the Adobe Cloud, and it'll open up those libraries for you. Simply follow any of those libraries, and you're going to have the same brushes that we're talking about today. Alrighty, to download Kyle's brushes, Cody is already taking care of that. Thank you so much in the chat, Cody. I appreciate it. Marcelina, watching me is a good idea. Of course it is. This is healthy for you because it is illustration related. So if you can't focus on your illustration assignment, we can still hang out and talk about illustration, and maybe something today that I show you will be relevant to that assignment. Okay? If not, if you pay me just a small one-time fee of $1 million, I will do the assignment for you. Just email it to me. Okay? I prefer PayPal. Now, let us dive in to our MegaPack here. So, will we start with the erasers? The answer is no, because I want to draw something first. So we're going to skip the erasers right here and move on down to the drawing box. When I open up the drawing box, you will see that in the drawing box alone, holy smokes, it's just too much. Got about 75 brushes to deal with here, okay? Because I like to draw, and so I wanted to give you all plenty of options for that. But what I want to do is highlight a few brushes in each category, okay, so that what we can hopefully do is cover different kinds of media that people use, right, on a regular basis. Now, one thing most of us do when we're trying to figure things out with regards to getting an illustration started is what? Sketch. But finding the perfect digital pencil is not always that easy. So that is why we have options here. Options, okay, that's the key. We're going to start with the Animator pencil because this is one of people's favorites. It's actually the #1 downloaded brush from all of my free brushes that I had available there prior to me joining Adobe. It was the #1 downloaded brush. So let's take a look at this guy. I'm gonna make my foreground color black here. We'll zoom in. I want to go at 100% so you can really see the quality and texture of this brush. This is a pencil that is absolutely a delight to joy with. I can go a delight to joy with, a joy and a delight to draw with. Folks, can somebody please bring me a Starbucks? All right, now you'll notice as I'm drawing, what's happening here? Getting darker, getting a little wider. Oh, I see something. The pencil is rotating with my stylus. I am able to control the value, right? Brightness, darkness, with pressure, but I'm able to control the width by tilting my hand like I would with a normal pencil, either closer to vertical. Let me just jump out here for a second so you can see my hand. If I have my drawing surface here, here's my drawing surface, okay? It's my hand, holding it like so at a perpendicular angle to the surface. I'm going to get a finer line, like I would with a pencil. Okay, let us tilt. Now what am I going to do? I'm going to draw with the edge, the side of the pencil. Okay, and that's going to allow me to do some shading, change the width of the pencil. heading on back to Photoshop here to see what I mean. I am now holding it perpendicularly. See that nice fine line I get? How dark the line is depends on the pressure I use. Look, this is me drawing with a very light touch. See that? Look how faint, look how faint, okay? Bearing down, lots of pressure. Just like a real pencil, not only does the line get darker, it's gonna get a little thicker, okay? But not as thick as this. Why? Because there I am tilting my hand, okay, away from vertical, and I'm able to do some nice pretty shading and whatnot, and you get the idea, okay? So, for those of you out there with a Wacom Cintiq or a Wacom Intuos tablet or a Wacom tablet of any kind, if with tilting you're not getting the results you want, not to worry. What you can do is change those tilt settings by opening up your system preferences and going into the Wacom settings, and there you will find one of the options under pen for tilt, okay? Now I believe I can open up my Wacom and show you this here. If I just go to my settings, Wacom tablet. All right, now I'm on a Mac, but on a PC it should be about the same thing here. See under pen, we have tilt sensitivity right here. I can bring it to the middle between normal and high. These are gonna change how it feels to tilt with the pen. Okay, now I usually leave mine right here at the bottom where it says normal, but some of you might wanna change that. So always be looking there for those settings to make the drawing experience really personalized for yourself. Tia! Tia Kratter is here. I can't believe it. Thank you for this hat, Tia. I'm wearing it because you gave it to me. Oh my gosh, folks. There is a living legend just hanging out here right now in the chat. Oh my gosh. Tia Kratter. Holy cow. Pixar art legend. Can't believe it. I'm a little bit spellbound now and I don't know what to say. I'm starstruck. What do I do? I got to continue the show though, folks, but thank you so much for being here. Folks, I had the best time a few years back. Tia so graciously had me come to Pixar and give a little brush demo and workshop for some of the artists there, and what a highlight of my career. Can't believe it. All right, my goodness. Now, back to it. This is my preferred pencil for sketching. Everybody's different. All right, but the Animator pencil, all right, and how fitting a name, or that we're talking about this rather, when someone like Tia happens to pop by. Because, you know, I was really always inspired my entire life by animators. Because, folks, if you want to see people who know how to draw, it's the animation crew. Not only do they have to understand the structure of something, because they have to draw it in 3 dimensions, right? From all angles, keep the style consistent, keep with the style guides and whatnot, keep the characters looking the same, but they have to do it fast. And so there's a lot of like good gestural drawing that comes from that, right? And working with the line of action and all these kinds of things, right? So when you're gonna do that, you wanna have a responsive pencil that still is gonna allow you to do this. Let me show you. Let's say I got a shape here. I say, all right, I'm gonna work with this shape, I'm gonna add this shape. All right, there. This is gonna be some kind of thing I'm drawing, right? All right, this is it, got the thing. Now, I don't wanna go through there and erase and all this other business. I wanna take that same pencil and I wanna be able to just select those lines I feel good about, right? And move on, because that's what I'm in the process of doing here. I'm just trying to figure this thing out, trying to get the larger forms to make sense, okay? And then get the smaller forms there in place, whatever, yada yada. That's how I sketch with a regular pencil as well, right, folks? So I want this pencil to be able to do that for you, and that is what it's designed for. Quick pointer for any digital pencil that you're working with. If you ever feel like, holy smokes, this thing is too heavy for me, right? I'm drawing, I've got a heavy hand, and everything I do looks dark and everything, you know. Even if out of the box that's what's happening and you don't like it, 2 suggestions. Number 1, go back to those settings for your stylus and change the sensitivity of the stylus, okay, from soft, hard, etc. If you find that everything you draw is too dark, too heavy, push it more towards the hard side, okay? If it's the opposite, do the opposite. Second thing you can do, working with the digital pencil especially, is adjust the flow. Now here in Photoshop, you'll see that in the flow I have 29%. I knock that down to 15, right? Even though I'm drawing with the same amount of pressure as before, you'll see I'm getting a lighter line. This allows me to bear down more, okay? And I'm still not gonna get that full 100% opacity for that mark. So make sure you make those two adjustments to make things feel the way they need to feel for you. Okay, folks. Tia, you are just way too kind. Thank you. Alrighty, any other comments or questions? Oh, Lisette, that's too kind. All right, let's move on. So that is the Animator pencil. Now, some of you might want a pencil that isn't quite so soft or doesn't respond to the pen tilt. Maybe you don't like the feeling of that. You want a more consistent line weight based on pen pressure. If that's what you're looking for, I just want to jump down here for a moment to the Perfect pencils. Alrighty, here we go. Perfect pencil 1 and 2. Now with these, okay, first of all, you're going to get a grittier line, okay, but you're going to control both the opacity and the weight with just pressure. Now that can be more comfortable for people who are usually drawing digitally and not used to adjusting or working with the tilt of the stylus. In fact, there are some, but not many anymore, older tablets that do not recognize pen tilt, okay? And if that's the case, well, hey, you're okay. You can use this, right? So these two pencils are two of my other favorites to draw with. I did a full NPR calendar illustration with the Perfect Pencil 2. If anybody's ever seen that illustration on my my portfolio site of a woman listening to NPR while sitting in a forest with a little kitty cat resting there with her. She's drinking a coffee, you know, very kind of NPR sort of moment, right? That was all drawn with this. And so I would start with lighter shapes, right? Try and work things out. And then same as before, you know, I just take a nice slow down and draw these other lines over the top of the sketch, but no reason to erase, right? You can, I love seeing the evidence, by the way, of someone's work. I just love it. You know, when it comes to dry media, or for that matter, even some kind of pen and ink stuff, I'm so happy to see where things came from. I like seeing a little bit of evidence that the artist was working through things on the page, you know what I mean? That's such a cool thing. But look how I could render with this. See this? Add a little coarse shadow there. And a little rendering here. Feels very, very natural. I recommend trying this. This is the Perfect Pencil 2. Might make you happy, who knows? Remember also when you're drawing digitally, and especially those of you who are drawing on a tablet that is not a draw on screen device, you're going to want sometimes more control and say, gosh, I'm trying to get the line to be really smooth, but it winds up being a little bit kind of this. See the difference? When that happens to you, you're going to be okay, because here's what we have in Photoshop to help you out. We have a drawing assistant. It's called smoothing. Check this out right here at the top. Let's crank that up to 30, okay? And I'll do that same kind of wobbly thing I was just doing. Do you see the difference already? All right, crank it up even higher. Let's go to 50. Try that again. Notice what's happening. Photoshop is intelligently figuring out what it is you're trying to draw with regards to the curves and the direction of your line and so on. Okay, and it is just going to curve or rather smooth, pardon me, everything out. All right, beautiful, just like butter. I love it. So check out these smoothing settings, okay? I think you will enjoy playing with those to get more control. Cody says smoothing is my best friend in Photoshop and Fresco. Gotta agree, it's pretty fantastic. Oh, Vitor, you downloaded the MegaPack yesterday. That's awesome. Fantastic. And you're watching the right show for that then. Tell you what. Alrighty. Now, some of you like to work with mechanical pencil. Well, don't worry, we got you covered here. There it is. It's called mechanical pencil. No funny names there. This is exactly what you would expect it to be. A really fine line, really precise, okay, but still pencil-y. What do I mean by that? You're going to get those tiny little breaks in the line here, there. You're going to get just ever so slight imperfections. And when I say imperfections, I mean slight, because you do want to be precise, right? Using a mechanical pencil, you want things to be as they should be, right? Going to be really, really precise here. That is what that is for, okay? So give that a go. Those are my top recommended pencils. Now, there are other pencils in there, okay? There are others. These are just my personal favorites. And so the cool thing is you go to the drawing box, you play around, look for the word pencil, and here in Photoshop now, don't forget, you have a little search option here. Just type pencil, right? And you start to get all your pencil options, okay? So that could help you out, all right? Very nice. Okay, what else is in the drawing box? Well, you know, you've got your pencil work. So let's say I've just got this thing I drew. Yeah. Okay, great. What do I want to do with this? Well, right here in the drawing box, we include some smudge tools. I like to group my smudge tools with the media that they're best suited for. Okay, so for example, grit smudge. Oh yeah, this is great for pencil smudging. Check that out. See? Alrighty. You got the rough smudge. All right, that's gonna give you a bit more smudgy action. And what I'd like to do is tie the smudge tool to a key command, okay, or rather a keyboard shortcut if you like. And here it is, here's my smudge tool, and I use the S key. And what I've done is I just go into Edit, Keyboard Shortcuts right here. And under Tools, you'll see where I have Smudge Tool right here. And you'll see that S. Okay, you can set that if you wish. You can play with these settings. You can do what you want. And I just decided that because I'm always using the keyboard anyway when I draw, I can go B to get to my brush, okay? And then I can go S and get to my smudge, and I can just go back and forth, right? So nice to be able to draw like this. And look how, oh, I love it. Look at that. Look at that. You're building up a little bit of value, a little bit of texture, just like you would with the real tools. To me, that's just a wonderful thing. So these smudge tools here are meant to be included right there at the top of the list so you have them, okay? Got some charcoal in here as well, got some other good things. So you get the idea. There's a lot to play with, right? You want to add some shady graphite, okay? Some other more gritty graphite textures in here. There's plenty to do for pencil drawing and everything else. You even got wet charcoal. Look at that. Woo! Alrighty, well we could spend a whole day on the drawing box. We could. And we might do some more brush episodes where we just break down some of these categories. But let's move on to the ink box. Ink box is what you'd expect. Again, about at least 60 brushes in the ink box because I'm a huge fan of inking. I want to give you all the options. Okay, gang? So let's see here. I want to start with this because we have this cartoon nib. I'm a big fan of illustrations that show off inks that have been held by a human hand, and there's been a little mess here or there, a little glop, something's dripped, or things haven't been perfect. And so these brushes are meant to have that kind of quality when you draw with them. Everything is just a tiny bit imperfect. Okay, see that? That looks so good. That's my thing. I'm really into that. Now we have a few options here. We have the amazing cartoon nib 2. Also got a smaller one. But these just give you that sort of... And if you play around with the pressure you use with these, okay, you can get some pretty nifty things happening. Give those a try. I want to jump quickly to some categories that I think are useful for those people who are moving over to the MegaPack from traditional media. Okay, that's one of them there. But we have these brayers. Now, I'm a huge fan as well of working with an ink roller, okay, for building up texture and stuff. So this is the brayer control brush. All right, now what this is used for is, I'll show you. You use it in combination with the brayer bosses. So, for example, I grab my brayer boss here, and I can just lay in some nice, oh yeah, nice brayer texture stuff right there. Okay, then I go and I grab my brayer control, and let's say I want to just add a bit here on the side. Okay, so I just do that. Just a bit more action right there. I want to change the direction of the brayer. I can do this, right? This is, by the way, really excellent if you're doing some kind of like tree bark in an ink illustration, right? You know, you can go and grab those brushes from just a moment ago, like that cartoon nib, and you can do this kind of thing. You just draw a little, got a little tree there, right? And then I go and I grab the brayer control brush. I would use number 3, for example, right? They're all different. Just come in here and kind of play around there and just do that. Could you imagine this for just like a little children's picture book kind of thing, right? Isn't that lovely, hanging out in the background? Love those 1960s, 1970s books where they just played around with media and stamping and collage and made these beautiful pictures, right? That's my kind of thing. All right, so you got those. What other kinds of traditional media? Well, a lot of people like the brush pens, right? You like working with a brush pen? Don't worry, we got you here. The brush pen wow are the ones I recommend, all right? Because these will give you that option to be able to break apart the ink with a dry brush look, okay? And that uses pen tilt, all right? So if I use the pen again at a more perpendicular angle, all right, I can sort of do stuff like this. Or grab the original brush pen wow. You can see how that works, right? Anybody out there use the old Pentel pocket brush? You know how it starts to kind of get beat up after you've been using it for a few months and starts to dry out on you and stuff like that? It's a great way to sort of emulate that feeling. If you don't want it to be too rough, go ahead and grab the brush pen Ace, King, and Queen and see what you do with those. Okay, those are going to be a little cleaner. See that? A little cleaner, but they'll still give you this option here for a dry brush by using the tilt, right? Using the side of the brush. See that? But I can go clean again here just by holding it more vertically and everything in between, right? So lots and lots of control, lots of control. All right, can't lose with these. Those brush pen users out there, gonna like these, gonna like these. And I know there are a lot of you out there. I know that, boy, brush pens have really taken off in popularity, but we need a digital option for them, don't we? So you're gonna get that here, okay? And you got the brushy liner. This is just another part of that group that is just gonna be a lot more broken apart. See that? Nice to use in combo as well. Simple chisel brushes, all right? You've got chisel tilt here, right? You guys, any Calvin and Hobbes fans out there? Like that sort of chisel look. Old Bill Watterson was using, right? I messed up his neck. I guess his head just kind of went into his neck, didn't it? Like this. Wasn't that more sort of how he did Calvin? Anywho, chisels, we got you covered there as well. Moving on down here for a moment. There are a lot of special effects brushes here, by the way, for inking. Okay, you've got the everything brush. That's another one that's related to those brush pens, by the way. Copier rat. So these are just brushes that'll give you a certain kind of line quality. All right. Comet lettering. All right, now we get to these, the fountain pens. Some people love fountain pens. I myself have tried them, and just one of the things I loved about them was that with that nib, you know, you'd be drawing, and every now and again it would get a little kind of like there would be a little spot where the ink would get a little soft and kind of bleed out just a hair now and then, or you know, it might just jump a bit. So for those folks out there who like this, I recommend this Fountain of Youths. Okay, we'll play on words there from Fountain of Youth, and I was doing a little sort of, maybe it's Philadelphia, I guess. Is it Philly? The Utes? Okay, but this one is just, yeah, try this out if you want to draw with a line like this. Maybe you like the work of people like Gerard Scarf. Gerald Scarf, pardon me, I'm getting my names wrong here. You know, or even a person like Ralph Steadman or someone like that. And this is going to help you achieve that kind of line quality. And there are a bunch of nice fountain pens in here. This one, see how soft that is? Look at that. It even is going to pool. The ink is going to pool. If I draw a line, I hang out here and wait for a moment and then come down. See how the ink pools right there? Everything has been thought about and considered for this. This is, for me, one of those brushes that, you know, you like Quentin Blake. I love Quentin Blake, such a huge fan. The artist who did the Roald Dahl illustrations for all of his books back, especially he was working heavily on those in the 70s and early 80s. You're talking about the BFG, you know, and stuff like that. Well, Quentin Blake. Just do these lovely drawings like this, right? BFG had those big ears, right? Like this. This would be like a Quentin Blake kind of drawing. And you can do this with these brushes, with especially like fountain pen. You know, it's like the line is, you got to dip it in the ink, you know, and sometimes it's darker than others, and sometimes it's running out a little bit and you haven't bothered to recharge it. You know what I mean? So here's your little Quentin Blake. You pair that with the watercolor set or something like that. See what you're going to get. But very natural to draw with, and the goal here again is to emulate natural media. The MegaPack is designed for mainly that, I would say. You know, it's really meant to help you in that regard. There are a few special effects bits and pieces because we have an effects category in there. But my goal here is to give you every possible tool imaginable under the sun for inks and dry media and for painting and whatnot, okay? So yeah, lots of these are the Fountainius set, or the fountain brushes, okay? Fountain pens, pardon me. A few more brush pens here, Guelph. All right, so how you say it? Guelph? Guelph? I don't know, it's in Canada. Help me out, Canadians. How do you say that? This was inspired by the work of Seth, one of my favorite cartoonists. Right, you got these other hard round. Anybody who's a fan of Jack Kirby knows about the old Kirby Crackle in his comics. You can do that in 2 seconds with the Kirby Crackle brushes. Okay, anyway, look at this. It just goes on and 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 on. But I think I've covered some of the more useful ones for you. And if you're a comic book artist who wants to do that sort of thick to thin kind of thing, the very first brush I designed for that, if I can find it, natural, where are you? Well, you could use the Mr. Natural brushes for that too. Mr. Natural brushes are great for that. But my pal Paulo Rivera used one for some stuff he did for Valiant a while back. Rough Comics. Or was it Rough Inker? Here we go. Rough Inker. This is the one. Yeah. So you can go really, really fine like this, but you can also, bam, do stuff like that. Alrighty. Okay, so get to it. Experiment with that. Got a little bit of spatter in here just in case you're looking for it, right? That always works nicely. Don't want to put too much spatter on this poor guy. But it's in there. Okay, speaking of Quentin Blake, we even have a pen named after him right here. The Blake. All right, let's close it up. Bye-bye, Inkbox. Plenty to play with in there. Speaking of effects, may as well just pop that open for a moment and see what we have in here. So, yes, I mentioned that the MegaPack is mainly for natural media emulation, but FX, you know, we need them sometimes. We need them. And as usual, I've included some smudge tools in here because they belong in there. You have some brushes that'll quickly add canvas. Nice little canvas texture. That's always helpful. Got a new one here. I like that one. It's really subtle. You can add grain to your art. Just quickly fill the whole canvas with grain if you want. Maybe you want bigger grain. Got all sorts of stuff. This is just like stuff that saves you time, stuff that adds a bit of texture, right? The aqua tint brush will do some cool, nifty stuff for you, right? Several of those. The currency brush, I like this one because it's based on a thumbprint. Okay, really cool kind of way to add texture, right? Something you just don't think about, but it really works. Adds a pretty neat texture. I've used it before for various illustrations. Sponge, we all need that natural sponge. So how many folks out there use watercolor and use the sponge as a tool? You know the natural sponges you buy, they usually get in a little plastic bag and you get 4 or 5 of them, sort of that yellowish color. These are the kinds of marks you can make with that sponge. And so I just thought, why not make that digital? Of course we need that. We've got a sponge classic, okay, which is much darker. Combine the two. Don't forget in Photoshop you can now erase with any brush simply by holding down the tilde key on your keyboard. So this whole positive negative thing, additive subtractive, right, is such a great way to add texture and build stuff up on your canvas. Maybe you're doing some kind of weird sci-fi space thing and you want to do a quick skyscape, starscape. You can do it with this brush. Kyle, what's the tilde key? Yeah, don't worry. Here's the tilde key. Just for those who don't know what the tilde key looks like on your keyboard, looks like that. Usually found in the top left corner on an American keyboard. For other keyboards, I can't tell you, but holding that down while you draw or paint is going to automatically erase. If you don't have that option, don't forget you can always come over here and select clear for your brush mode. Same deal. Whose thumb? Whose thumb, says Sean? My thumb. Naturally. Kathleen says, my dad says Utes. Oh, awesome. My cousin Vinny, Bruce says, yeah, perhaps maybe that's where I got it. It was in Brooklyn, right? Were they Brooklyn? Or the Bronx? I don't remember. Any other questions? Make sure I want to just see, what are the best mid-level hardware options? Surface Pro or Wacom? Oh, that's a really hard question to answer, Richard. I mean, those new Surface Pros look amazing. Did you see the event last week? That's not a mid-level option, though. It's pretty expensive, I think. Yeah, I don't know. I would go... That's a tough call. Eesh. I mean, yeah. That's a tough one for me to answer. Sorry. Okay. Now... back to where we were here. In the effects box. Okay. And then you get on down, you have some more blenders. These are actually mixer brushes. Okay. Mixer brushes we've talked about in the past will smudge stuff for you, right? But they'll also paint for you. So we've got some of those here. And why not? You know, it's a good thing to have. But the FX category is not enormous in the MegaPack because it is not that kind of brush set. You have the concept brushes for that. You have all kinds of stuff in the spatter brush set. And also, especially the seasonal updates have lots of cool effects brushes. Okay? Let's look at the letterers. Okay, letterers are, well, sorry, wrong brush set. Kyle, come on, stick with it. Here we go. Paint box. This one's huge. All right, let's see. How do I talk about the paint box in a way that doesn't take 3 hours? The largest number of brushes in the MegaPack are found in the paint box, okay? And as always, you start with Smudge Tools. See this? Got a good number of those, about 8 or 9. And then you jump right in with acrylics glaze, okay? And everything you could think of for painting is going to be found in this category, okay? Especially when you combine with the real oils. But everybody likes to paint differently, the kind of marks they make with digital painting. Some people want things that are more opaque right out of the gate. Some people want a little bit of transparency. Some people want something you can control the transparency with the pressure you're using. I've thought of all of that. It's all in here. So what you have to do is grab some of these and just play. For those of you who are more like, I paint with the round brush, that's what I'm used to, then you want to use something that is going to be behaving that way. Excuse me. Hard round brush, the way it behaves is you can control the opacity with your pen pressure, as well as usually the size. So for brushes like that, you want to skip on down. Let's see here. Sure. We're just skipping over a lot of stuff here until I get to... Where are you? Where the natural feel? There we go. So the natural feel brushes, what I recommend doing for these is just, this is how they look, okay? Got some nice texture built in there. But for those of you who are round brush fans, take the natural feel brush and just pump the flow up to 100%. And under brush settings, just take the transfer down to 0 for pen pressure, okay? There we go, minimum, there we go, 0. And now what you're gonna get is this ability to paint like you're probably used to painting with a standard round brush. So you can go from light all the way up to dark, like this. If you're not feeling that natural edge or any of that kind of stuff, that's not really appealing to you, you can always come in and you can change the brush shape if you really want to. You can go for something just round or something a little closer to round, etc. But I want to point out that really with the brushes, the MegaPack isn't designed to work like the round brush. Why is that? Well, because the round brush already exists, and it exists in its original form that everyone's used to, and if you like painting that way, stick with it, it's great. But if you're looking for something more painterly, okay, come into the MegaPack and start playing around and see what you find, and I think you will not be disappointed, okay? But not everybody's into that. Some people just like the more sort of sharp edge, and they want it to be a solid color all the way throughout, no texture, and that's fine. All right, but jumping back up to where we were there. So we had the acrylic glaze. Now from here you got the acrylic basic, okay? These are very simple brushes. There's nothing too complicated or complex about the way they behave. But right from there you start jumping into things like Big Bad Wolf. All right, now a lot of these painterly brushes are designed to give you the kind of mark where every time you paint something, you can make a shape, right? But it's going to be just ever so slightly different from the same shape you would paint in attempt number 2. And that's to give you that extra bit of natural, imperfection, if you wish. All right. Big wide softy people use a lot for just getting a background in. See that? Just paint in that background. Get a little darker up here. Just control that with pressure, as you'd expect. Right, you want to blend some of that. Just grab this blender. Got the Thrash blend here. Bunch of different blenders here. There's the Thrash, sorry. Easy to blend with this. I use this one probably more than any other brush for blending, just because it works so fast. I like fast stuff. All right, bristle brushes do what you'd expect. They've got bristles, okay, but there are many, many variations of those. Great for painting hair. Speaking of hair, you got hair and grass right here, right? That's great. For these kinds of things, bristly flat flex. See that? More hair action, great for that. Here's a brush I use all the time, Creamy. This is going to be working for you with color dynamics, one of my favorite things. So what is color dynamics? We've talked about this many times. If you want to watch some replays of Brush Hour in the past where we talk about color dynamics, please go for it. I've even done masterclass on it. Check out my personal YouTube channel for a whole 5-minute really intense, show you all the ways color dynamics works for you. So that'll help you. But what I like about this brush is every time I paint a new mark, I can see it. Okay, I can see it every time. I don't just get flat color, right? It's like, oh look, it looks like paint. That's the idea. So this is what I use the creamy brushes for, is for that more sort of painterly look. And there are variations of it here. There are a few brushes that are more sort of effects based, like encaustic. Okay. This is something that doesn't get talked about often enough, which is just building a little canvas surface gesso-y texture for yourselves. You want to work with gesso on canvas. A lot of people do. Just use the MegaPack. Grab a color that's just slightly off white, okay? Grab the gesso regular or gesso thick brush and just start to kind of do this. Just paint. And gesso your canvas. See this? Forgive that squeaking noise. That's my stylus with the soft nib drawing on the surface of the Cintiq. It's very noisy. All right, but there. Now I can just direct that in any way I want. Maybe I want to have an element of my painting, you know, Drew Struzan style, where there's going to be some arc here in the composition. So I want to kind of pull the gesso around that way. Maybe I want to use some thicker gesso for that. So I'll just do this. See? Just kind of thicken it up. Use that gesso thick brush right there. Add a bit of texture. See that? Okay. And there, I've just built myself up a little surface to work from. That's so fun. Okay? Yes, Sean, it's gesso. So there you go. Now, what I would do is I would just come over on top of this, set my blending mode to multiply maybe, right? So then if I grab another brush, let's say the Fat Fun Spongy, for example, and I start to paint, right? You're gonna see that gesso coming through. So maybe I'm doing like a thin layer of paint over the gesso, and I want to see that gesso come through. Then later I'll get a little thicker, work on a layer that isn't multiply. You know what I mean? There's so much you can do. Yes, Blessing, there is a lot can be done with the MegaPack. Probably too much, that's the problem. The brush hour is too short, it's only an hour long. I don't know what to do in an hour with this massive brush set. We should do a part 1 and a part 2. All right, you got the gooey brushes. Gooey brushes are like the creamy brush, but with just more color action, okay? But you also have the gooey C brush. That's gonna take advantage of your foreground and background colors. So I've set my background color to like a nice blue, put my foreground color to this sort of bright red, right? And then I use this brush. See how, like, with more pressure, I'm gonna get more red. With less pressure, I'm gonna get sort of this violet color. It's because it's pulling from that blue in the background. Okay? So this allows me to do all this kind of crazy stuff. Get a bunch of color variation in my brush strokes, all with one brush and one set of colors on my palette. Isn't that cool? Look at that. It's also got that nice canvas texture built in there. Can't do this anywhere but digital. Good old Photoshop. Okay. Then you've got the Gouache Go-Go, the most famous and popular paintbrush there ever was. Everyone knows this one. Find entire threads about it on Twitter. I don't know what made it so popular. I guess because it's easy to control. Still get a little texture, but nice to paint with. Yeah, I don't know. This one blew up. Little known trick with the Gouache Go-Go brush, folks, is you can blow it up huge. So I'm gonna make it like 1,000 pixels, and you can like stab your canvas, and you can get these cool like textures. See that? So my pal Tommy Lee turned me on. Tommy Lee Edwards, if you know him, amazing comics and film illustrator, and like he's done everything, advertising and animation and just everything. But he was like, one day he was playing with the Gouache Go-Go brush and he made it huge and said, oh my gosh, look what you can do with this thing. See that? I didn't even know it. Okay, now, Impressionist, some basic Impressionist brushes, some natural feel paint brushes and all that. Now you do have oil brushes in here. I want to check these out just for a moment. Okay, so you can see them because they are really nice to work with. Really light canvas texture there. Okay, so these are good for just simple digital painting, right? You want to work with digital painting, this is a good way to start. Got a good variety of them in here. And the cool thing about these, and the oil-rich brushes too, I have to recommend very highly. The oil-rich brushes will really be nice for oil painting. But what I want to do is segue from here to the mixer brushes that we want to talk about today. And they are in the natural oil category. Pardon me, the real oil category. Just very quickly before I do that, I don't want to skip this and run out of time and not show you that we do have these watercolor options. Probably my favorite in the watercolors is the watercolor fill brush. Okay, I'm going to zoom in on that so you can see how nice that looks. It's got a pulpy paper texture that comes with it. And do such nice washes of color with it, and you know, I just really enjoy working with this. Great for soft digital watercolor painting, you know? Look at that. You can get a hard edge if you need it. You can soften that edge. It's all done with pen pressure. So check out the watercolors in that category, the painting category as well. All right, but now it is time. We have to make time for this. It's very important. Look how many brushes are in this category. It's just too many. To talk about the real oils, these are the mixer brushes. Now we did do a mixer brush thing on Brush Hour before. I just want to make sure everyone's aware that these are in here. Just be aware that these brushes will blend on the surface, right? So if I grab the Old Faithful big canvas brush, for example, and I paint a little bit here, grab some yellow and paint into it, see what happens? Very natural looking oil painting. This category is wonderful. Blend these and use these with the regular ABR, the regular Photoshop brushes in the oil category. They all share the same canvas texture, so you're not gonna have to worry about that, right? So if I were to do some nice painterly blending and so on, using this brush here, right? And then I say, okay, I wanna paint on top of that with just a regular oil brush. What I would do is I would just close up the real oils, open up the paint box, come down to that oil category, and let's grab, for example, the oil canvas. That's what you want, the oil canvas group here. Oil canvas 2, grab some red, right? And then you got that nice canvas still playing around, working with you. Come back to my mixer brush if I want. Do some blending there. Wrong one. Here we go. Where was it? Close this up. All right, hopefully you get the idea there. That's a really good way to paint. If you're into emulating oils, go for that. Use the real oils, use them in combination with the oil on canvas brushes and the other oils, the oil-rich brush, etc. What's in the classic set? Well, this is a whole bunch of brushes, about 20 of them, that are just some of the oldies but goodies. From the original Kyle's Paint Box and so on, and Kyle's Ultimate Brush Set from way back in 2013. They are here for you. Don't worry, they didn't go anywhere, okay? So if you want to paint with these, they're very straightforward, very easy to work with, nice flow. The Oil Lush brush still used day in and day out by lots of digital artists. They've just really stuck with this original set and they love it. I wanted to make sure these didn't disappear, so they are here, okay? Even got some pencils in there. I'm not a big fan of these pencils anymore. I feel like I improved greatly on them, but I wanted to make sure that for those people who are really into these brushes, they didn't disappear. They're still here for you in the classic, okay? So I don't want you guys to worry. We didn't leave you out. Bonus, don't worry about it. It was one brush. Everyone knew where it was. It's a chunky charcoal. They knew where to find it. I left it alone. I didn't want people to think it was lost. And then tech pens. Tech pens are, well, tech pens. And Tech Pen Real is the one I probably use the most. You know, I'm a big fan of like Micron Pigmas and drawing with those. But check out the Inkbox Tech Pens as well. There's a few in there that I like, but I just use the heck out of this one. It's a nice Tech Pen. Great for simple, equal weight line drawing where things just aren't too perfect. You know, like I said, not a fan of things being too perfect. Well, folks, the MegaPack is massive. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope we answered some questions for you. I hope you found it interesting, useful. We might have to do another set of shows on this because it's just too much. Hit me up on Twitter and ask me questions. That's where I'm always looking for questions and I can help you out. Okay, at Kyle T. Webster. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Please remember to be kind. And until next time, I will say ciao for now.